Hey, what up guys, and welcome to Rad Talks. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, options. A real quick recap of a call option. It gives the buyer, the person who's buying it, gives you the ability to buy 100 shares of a stock at a predefined price, the strike price, on or before a certain date in the future, which is the expiration. Let's talk about a put option real quick. This is the exact inverse of that. The put side is you get the right to be able to sell those. So it would be as if Farmer Joe has the right to be able to sell to Sally at Farmer Joe's command to be able to sell it to Sally for a certain price, which means that Sally would then buy it at that price. So it's the exact inverse. So let's say that they agree to these terms. Farmer Joe pays Sally the consideration or the premium of $1,000. Let's just make it $1,000. And they agree that in 1 year from now, at any time from now to 1 year from now, he has the right to be able to sell to Sally this property for $10,000. So Sally automatically, by entering into this contract, she gets that $1,000 premium right there. She can walk away, but she can't walk away from the deal because he's the holder, not her. But he enters in the deal, pays her $1,000. She is obligating herself now that at his command, if he wants to, anytime from now till the expiration of that contract in 1 year from now, that he can sell her that property for $10,000. What happens is if the market were to go up and it were to be worth, this property becomes worth $100,000, he is not going to execute this contract because that makes no sense. Why would he sell it to Sally for $10,000 when he can sell it to the regular market for $100,000? That makes no sense. However, if the market goes down, so they've agreed this arrangement, he is going to sell it to her at his command. Now, if the market goes down and that property is only worth $5,000, then at the end of that contract, or anytime before the end of the contract, just as long as it's not past the end of the contract, then he is going to execute this contract and enforce the contract and say, hey, Sally, remember how I paid you the $1,000 so that you would buy it from me at any time I told you to buy it from me within the next year? I'm executing that. And now she is forced to buy it at $10,000, even though it is only worth $5,000, even though anyone off the street would only pay $5,000, even though she can only turn around and sell it for only $5,000. She is obligated to buy it at $10,000. He gets to sell it at $10,000 at his command because he's the holder of this put option. So he gets to sell to Sally for $10,000. He walks away. So as you see, he's in a good situation on that. This is the same as a put option with the stock market. So the person who is buying the option, so again, we've only talked about the buying side of it. So buying side of the call option is the one who gets to buy those shares at a set price. The buying side of the put option gets to sell those shares at the same price. So the buyer of the put would have been Farmer Joe in the second scenario. What this is you're saying you get the right to be able to sell 100 shares, because it's typically 100 shares, of a specific stock at a specific price on or before an expiration date. That's all this is. So if we're talking XYZ stock, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, let's say $10 a share. So I am buying the right to be able to sell these shares at $10 a share to whoever is the other side of that contract. So I have the right, by buying it, I have the right to sell these at $10 a share on or before a certain time out there. So let's say it's a year contract. Let's say that I pay, the premium is $1, which again, times 100 means that's $100 I pay for the right to be able to sell at $10 a share. Cool. What that means is fast forward a year from now, and if the stock has gone up, so let's say the stock is now $25 a share, why would I execute this? It wouldn't make sense, because I don't want to sell 100 shares at $10 a share when I can go to the market and sell them at $25 a share. That makes no sense. So I'll walk away, let it expire, I lose that $100. Whereas if the price has gone down, say it goes down to $5 a share, then absolutely I want to go ahead and execute this, because yes, I'm still at that $100 initially, but now I'm selling up. The market price is $500 or is $5 a share. That means I can go out, if I don't own those shares, I can go to the market right now and I can buy 100 of those shares at $5, so pay $500, and I can sell these to Sally. I can sell them for $10 a share because she already agreed to it. And so I make that profit immediately. The premium is separate from the purchase price. It is a separate piece of this whole transaction entirely. So if I'm buying an option, I am paying a premium. That premium goes to the seller no matter what. That's just for the contract itself, for the, basically think of it as that physical piece of paper. Again, going back to Sally and Farmer Joe, that was, they paid in consideration for that piece of paper, that contract. It doesn't actually have to be a piece of paper, but think of it as a physical piece of paper, paying for that to be able to hold that right to be able to execute it. That's what that payment was for. That payment, that initial, the $100 does not go towards the actual purchase price of the property. Same here. The premium that you pay to get an option is just to get that option. It does not affect the strike price. It does not go into the strike price when you execute. That is completely and entirely separate. So if you pay a $100 premium, so $1 premium, which is times 100, if you pay that, you're out that money no matter what. So you might make a bunch of money, or you might walk away and not lose a bunch of money. But either way, you're still out that $100, which you'll factor into how much profit you made based off of that. But that does not go into the actual transaction. So if you can see that if you are on the selling side of all these, your money is made from those premiums. No matter what, whether someone executes them, assigns them or not, you're keeping that premium on the selling side, and you're paying it always on the buying side. Something else to point out on these options, which you can see, just choose any, if you choose a random ticker just to pull up the stats and look at it, that alone, don't actually execute it, do not make this trade. Just find one and you'll see that price for the premium probably varies vastly from another stock of similar price. That's because there's multiple components. We'll go more into those. I'm going to do an episode called What the Greek, where we go in and we talk about the Greeks that make up the price of each one of these options. And no, I'm not talking about the country or the island. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these Greek things here, the delta, gamma, theta, those things, as well as the volatility. These are the components that actually determine what you're going to pay for that option, or what you're going to get paid for that option. All right, so we'll end this basic introduction to calls and puts here, and I want to leave it with a thought. If you bought the put, you have the right to be able to sell those shares. The other person does not have the right to force you to do it. It's just that simple. The buying side always has the right to execute the contract. If you want me to go in more depth on this or another topic, hit me up. Let me know what you want to see. And as always, if you found this helpful, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button.